In today's lesson, we'll be learning about standard form. In a previous lesson, we learned that a linear relation is really just a pattern, and this pattern can be represented with the equation y equals mx plus b. This type of equation is called slope-intercept form. Why is it called slope-intercept form? Well, it clearly displays the slope of the line, and it clearly displays the y-intercept of the line. We also learned that if your slope is positive, your line will be increasing or going upwards. And we also learned that if your slope was negative, your line will be decreasing or going downwards. A quadratic relation is a different type of pattern. These types of patterns can be represented with the equation y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. This type of equation is called standard form. The variable of c represents the y-intercept, while the variable of b doesn't really mean anything useful to us. However, the variable of a can tell us the direction of opening. If a is positive, that means the parabola is smiling or it's opening upwards. If a is negative, that means the parabola is frowning, which means it is opening downwards. Take a look at the equation of a parabola in standard form. As mentioned previously, c represents the y-intercept. Therefore, 6 is the y-intercept. b is -5, but this doesn't mean anything useful to us. And a is +1. A represents the direction of opening. Since a is positive here, that means our parabola is going to be smiling or it's going to be opening upwards. I've gone ahead and graphed this parabola. C represents the y-intercept, which makes +6 the y-intercept. And if you look at the graph, the y-intercept is +6. B is -5, and this doesn't really tell us anything useful. A can tell us about the direction of opening, and it is +1. Since it is positive, that means the parabola is smiling or it's opening upwards. Here is another equation of a parabola in standard form. C represents the y-intercept, which makes -6 the y-intercept. B is -5. This doesn't really tell us anything about the parabola. A tells us about the direction of opening. Since A is -1, that means it's going to be frowning or opening downwards. I've gone ahead and graphed this parabola. C is the y-intercept, which makes -6 the y-intercept. And you'll see in the graph that -6 is the y-intercept. B is -5, and this doesn't really tell us anything useful about our parabola. A tells us about the direction of opening. Since A is -1, that means the parabola is frowning or opening downwards.